Where did you shoot her?
It's reached over. I shot her close.
I was just firing as I went into the room. I just started firing.
In what direction?
In front of me.
What was in front of you?
My parents.
These brothers did what they did, and they should be accountable.
These kids love their parents. And you don't kill your parents if you love them unless you are forced to.
Next on Trial Story, a special 2-hour presentation, The Menendez Brothers on Trial, the real story.
It was a story that captured the imagination of America. It was a story that had all the elements of fiction. Two brothers living in Beverly Hills, with access to the best schools and a lifestyle most would envy, commit the most primal of acts. They kill their parents.
It was a story about parents and children, which ignited a national debate about responsibility and forgiveness. How and why did Eric and Lyle Menendez do it? Who should we believe? What does the evidence show? In the next 2 hours, Court TV will take a rare look at this case, a chance to explore with jurors and lawyers key moments that can help us understand just how the decisions were reached.
The court finds that the jury is hopelessly deadlocked and declares a mistrial.
By now, most everyone knows the outcome: 2 mistrials. But what we will never know is exactly what happened on a quiet night, August 20th, 1989, in this manicured Beverly Hills neighborhood, behind the closed doors of the Menendez family home.
What's the problem? What's the problem? That's how I killed my parents.
At 11:47 that evening, a 911 operator took an emergency call. It was a call from Lyle Menendez, reporting that his parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, were lying dead in the family den. When police arrived, they found few clues, no murder weapon and no eyewitnesses. What they did find were 2 bodies shot until they were almost unrecognizable. Lyle and Eric Menendez said they came home to find their parents dead, and the older brother, Lyle, led police to believe the mafia might have been responsible. At the memorial service, the brothers seemed to be at a loss and spoke about their father's success. Jose Menendez was a self-made Hollywood contender, a Cuban immigrant who worked his way up from dishwasher to entertainment executive. His wife, Mary Louise, known as Kitty, was a former beauty queen. As Jose climbed up the ranks, his family moved with him from expensive home to home, first in Princeton, New Jersey, and later in Beverly Hills. The brothers spent much of their childhood on tennis courts and at country clubs. They seemed to enjoy their father's success, but by 1989 there were visible cracks in the Menendez family, trouble in the marriage, and trouble in the household. In 1988, Lyle Menendez was suspended from Princeton University for plagiarism, and that same year Eric Menendez was implicated in a pair of burglaries. As a result of those burglaries, the brothers were sent here to the offices of a psychologist, Dr. Jerome Oziel. Ironically, it was through Oziel that the investigation of who killed Kitty and Jose Menendez broke wide open. It turned out the brothers confessed to Dr. Oziel that they killed their parents.
Mr. Eric Galen Menendez, do you understand the charges against you?
I understand both of them, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph Lyle Menendez, do you understand the charges against you?
Yes.
7 months after the shootings, Eric Menendez, 19, and Lyle Menendez, 22, were arrested for killing their parents, a charge they denied adamantly for over 3 years as they sat in jail awaiting trial.
They wanted the life, they wanted the lifestyle, and they didn't want the parents. And since they couldn't divorce them and keep their lifestyle, they had to get rid of them.
Pamela Bizanich has dedicated much of the last 3 years of her life to this case. As the lead prosecutor, she contends the Menendez brothers killed their parents out of hatred and greed.
This is a really simple case. The defense has done an excellent job of trying to muddy the waters, but this is classic textbook premeditation, and that's why it's a first-degree murder.
That's what it was supposed to be, an open and shut case of cold-blooded murder. The state would argue that the brothers planned the shootings, purchased the weapons, set up an elaborate alibi, and then went off on a spending spree. But the case turned out to be anything but straightforward. Just weeks before the trial began, lawyers for Eric and Lyle Menendez dropped a bombshell.
They were in imminent danger of death or great bodily injury at the hands of their parents.
The brothers did an about-face. They went from publicly denying any knowledge of the killings to admitting they pulled the triggers. The reason was equally shocking. The brothers said they killed in self-defense after years of sexual and emotional abuse by their parents. It was an unusual defense.
These people put this in operation. They terrorized their children. They made them that frightened. And as far as I'm concerned, morally, they're hardly in a position to complain that it worked too well.
Attorney Leslie Abramson is representing Eric Menendez. She has a fighter's reputation in the courtroom, having saved many of her clients from death row. Jill Lansing, a former public defender, is Lyle Menendez's lawyer.
I remember the first day I met him at the jail, and I said the same thing to him that everybody else always asks me, oh, it must be really terrible given the lifestyle that you've had to be in jail. And his answer was, in some ways it's easier than living at home.
Lansing says that Eric and Lyle Menendez grew up scared of their father, Jose. The brothers say their father raped them. Lyle says until he was 8. Eric says the sexual abuse continued until just before the killings.
They saw unending cruelty, no affection, no warmth, no love, no caring, no nurturing.
The brothers claim that when they threatened to reveal the family secret, their parents plotted to kill them. They say they had to kill first to avoid being killed themselves.
I obviously truly believe they would have never done this but for the fact they believed that they were going to be killed. It makes no sense. There's absolutely nothing they had to gain by doing this.
People have to be held accountable for what they do, regardless of how they're feeling, because there are a lot of abused people who don't commit crimes.
Our criminal justice system asks jurors to find solutions to difficult problems, problems that we as a society have yet to resolve. The challenge for the Menendez jurors is to decide how to balance our traditional rules of legal responsibility with new notions about what makes people tick.
I'm very calm. I don't know why.
As the trial begins, the media takes over.
I keep saying to myself, why aren't you nervous today? I think it's because I know this case so well.
Breaking arm there?
And you'll need a scorecard to keep up with all the lawyers. Co-counsel Michael Burt is assisting Jill Lansing, and Marcia Morrissey will back up Leslie Abramson. And teaming up with prosecutor Pamela Bazanich is Lester Kuriyama.
I've lived this case. I've lived their lives for 3.5 years. So there's nothing to be nervous about. I know it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Judge Stanley Weisberg presides. He's no stranger to high-profile cases, having tried the first Rodney King case. He's allowed one camera, a robotic camera, to record the proceedings.
We'll now proceed with opening statements, first from the
Prosecutor Pamela Bazanich lays out the state's case for first-degree premeditated murder.
We will prove to you that Lyle Menendez planned this murder, provided false identification for the purchase of 2 shotguns, set up an alibi, acquired ammunition, repeated the alibi to the police shortly after the crime, and then set off to spend the money which he had acquired through the killings of his parents. Based upon this evidence, it will become apparent that this murder was unlawful, unjustified, and wholly premeditated.
But that's not how the defense sees it. Attorney Leslie Abramson introduces the element of abuse.
Eric Menendez was the abused son of wealthy parents. He killed his parents because he could no longer endure their abuse and had to stop it. When he did that, he unwittingly made himself